What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Daily Podcast. I'm Monroe. How you guys doing? Hopefully you're doing well. And on this episode, we're going to be discussing 5 tips to make the process more bearable. What do I mean by that? What do I mean by the process? What do I mean by more bearable? I'm talking about the creative journey, your creative expression, and your evolution that comes from that. How to make that process more bearable. Because if you're like me and you're on the come up and you've been doing this for 20 years, the process has to be bearable, and you're going to need some tips and tricks on how to make it so, because it didn't happen overnight for me. And if you're watching this and you see that I have 100K plus subs by the time you're watching this, just know that these tips I applied in practice and they helped me get to the next level. And I'm all about getting to the next level, even if it takes another 10 years. So first, let's start with tip number 1. First, break down your goals. I'm all about setting huge, impossible goals. At one point, filming and directing a movie was an impossible goal, but we did it. Selling a screenplay was an impossible goal, but we did it. Making a living with art money, what I do for a living, my creativity, that was once a goal. And now I make YouTube videos for a living. That's pretty cool. And I'm very grateful for that. And it did not happen overnight. So I've set big goals, but you have to also set small, achievable tasks. Chunk them down, as Tony Robbins say. Break your goals into smaller, manageable tasks. For instance, one of my huge goals is I want 100,000 subscribers. I want that plaque. I'll put that plaque right up here when I get it, when my time comes. But before we get there, you got to break these down into small, achievable tasks. So for me, I'm making a YouTube video every single day until I find the thing that works and it pops off and it all makes sense. But I'm showing up every single day. And for some people, that might be too much, and I understand that. But for me, I'm so hungry and I have so much love to give that I'm willing to show up every single day, no matter what. I am leaving to Houston in a couple of hours. I don't know how I'm going to film tomorrow, and I don't know. I should have recorded 2 episodes, but the truth is, I'm going to go with the flow, over-prepare and go with the flow. And if I don't make it, it's fine. I'll just record 2 the next day. It's not the end of the world. So create small, achievable tasks that you can show up for every day. Sometimes that's just setting up my lights. Sometimes it's just getting out of bed. Sometimes that's just putting my shoes on. Truthfully. But I know what my macro goal is, and I have to break that down into small, achievable tasks and create a detailed roadmap, a blueprint, whether if you journal every day or if you write every day, get those thoughts out of your head and make them real. And map out each step of your journey to visualize the process. You should see my Notion. My Notion is just madness, but it's organized, and I have everything from my topics to my scripts, to my blueprint, to my goals, to my spiritual goals, my physical goals, my financial goals, my mental goals, you name it. It's all there. You got to create that detailed roadmap because you can't just wing it, close your eyes and hope for the best and say, that's me trying. You got to be detailed. So this is all about breaking down your goals. And finally, set milestones. Establish clear milestones and celebrate small wins along the way. Every time I get a new subscriber, that's a milestone. If I get a video that pops off and it gets 1,000 views, that's a milestone. I give myself a little pat on the back. You got to set milestones. Sometimes that's just clicking upload for me. If I click upload, then that's a job well done. I did it. So break down your goals, make them achievable, and along the way, you start enjoying the process. It makes it a little more bearable one step at a time. Tip number 2, build a support system. Now, this took me decades to really build a support system. You got to find accountability partners. And for me, that's my audience. People expect me to show up every single day. They show up for me, so I'm going to show up for them. So I appreciate y'all's accountability. But you have to partner up with someone to keep you accountable and motivated. For me, that's my cousin, Oscar Matthew. We talk on the phone ad nauseum, and sometimes we have 3, 4, 5-hour conversations. If I go on a 10-mile walk, he'll walk with me sometimes, and we just brainstorm and brain vomit at each other, but we keep each other accountable, and we're always checking in with each other's creative journey. And that's huge. Join a community if you can. Engage with others online or your local communities that share the same goals. I want to shout out Savannah Power, who's a peer in my space. We have a lot of things in common. I think we have very comparable ikigais, and there's a lot of overlap between us. And she's someone that I know in real life, and so she holds me accountable as well. I'm still building that community. I'm still trying to find my space, but that's what LinkedIn is for. And I've joined a lot of groups, and I'm starting to create more content there and talk to fellow podcasters and just build that community one person at a time. So I want to shout out Bex. I want to shout out Dave Knopp, Dave Cook. I want to shout out Kendall York. I want to shout out Louis Cartoon, who actually gave me this idea for how to make the process more bearable. Y'all are my community, and I show up for you guys. And I want to thank you so much for every step along the way. Also, seek mentorship. Now, that's hard, whether if you have to pay for a course, pay for that mentorship, or if you're lucky enough like me to have met someone like Dakota Meyer, who taught me mostly everything that I know and reaffirmed a lot of the things that I studied. This guy taught me so much, and still to this day, if I call, I know he'll answer. And I appreciate his guidance and support, and I couldn't have made it this far without him. I think he's responsible for a lot of my success, not just optically, but spiritually, mentally, and physically. I owe a lot to Dakota Meyer, and you never want to let someone like your mentor down. So you got to build your support system and stay connected with them. Regularly communicate with your friends or your family for emotional support. Now, on the flip side, that could mean cutting some people out. There are some people who don't share the vision, who don't share your goals, who kind of want you to fail, and they may even be related to you. Cut them out. That's part of building your support system. You have to be your own immunity system and not let the toxicity in. You got to let those things out. So, number one, break down your goals. Number two, build that support system. Number three, my third tip for making the process more bearable, practice self-care. I call Saturdays self-care Saturdays. You got to prioritize rest. I used to be really proud of not sleeping. Like, as a matter of fact, that was like my personality at one point. The longest I ever went without sleeping was 8 days, and I'm pretty sure I damaged my brain long term by doing that. I was hallucinating. I was seeing things that were not there. I remember after the 8th day, I fell asleep for 18 hours, woke up, got some Whataburger, chugged a Gatorade, went back to sleep for another 12. It was insane. I don't recommend it. But prioritize rest. Ever since I had kids, I realized how important rest is. You got to charge up your batteries and exercise regularly. That's part of your self-care. You got to incorporate physical activity into your routine to boost your mood and to boost your energy. Practice mindfulness. Use mindfulness techniques like meditation, deep breathing to reduce stress. For me, that's calling people on the phone and sort of just connecting with people. It's a form of meditation for me. It's a form of being heard, and it's a form of reaffirming my beliefs, and it's self-care for me. Like, it charges my batteries. I'm guilty of being an antisocial extrovert sometimes, but I am an extrovert at heart, and I charge my batteries with other people. Iron sharpens iron. Shout out to Dakota, who really lives by that mantra and lives by that creed. And if you can sharpen your iron with other people, that's going to hold you accountable and make the process more bearable. Practice mindfulness. Being able to control yourself around resistance and being able to master resistance, I think you can do that if you practice mindfulness. Now, this one's pretty obvious. You got to maintain a healthy diet. I'm guilty as charged about indulging in things that do not better my body. But after a recent health crisis, which I'll explain in the future when I'm more comfortable to do so, I've decided to make my health a top priority. That recharges my batteries, that makes my skin glow, that makes me have a better state of mind. It helps me get into flow a lot quicker, easier when you feel clean and less sluggish. And lastly, when it comes to practicing self-care, engage in hobbies. Spend some time to enjoy and relax what you do. If that's playing video games, that's cool. If that's streaming online and that's part of your self-care, that's great. If that's reading comic books or reading under a tree or going to a cafe, which is like one of the sexiest things you can do, is take your laptop and go to a cafe and just vibrate. Engage in that as a hobby, whatever that is for you. If that's playing volleyball, if that's playing cricket, if that's playing disc golf, whatever it is, going for long walks, whatever your hobbies are, engage in that. Practice self-care. Now, the fourth tip, is going to be difficult for a lot of people. It's difficult for me, but because of systems such as Notion and ChatGPT, I've been able to streamline this for me and stay organized. That's tip number 4. Stay organized. Use a planner. Keep track of your tasks and your deadlines with a planner or a calendar. I live and die by my Google Calendar. If it's not on there, I ain't doing it. Create to-do lists. I got this tip from Dakota. Your day begins the night before you fall asleep. Create a to-do list so you have a plan the moment you wake up. Write down daily or weekly to-do lists and stay on top of your tasks. Organize them by priority. You're not going to hit everything on your to-do list every single day. But if you hit the majority, all of a sudden you're building momentum, and that keeps you on track and staying organized. Declutter your space. Clean your room. Clean your studio. Clean your bathroom. Clean your car. When, cleanliness is next to godliness. When you're in a clean, sparse, vibrant environment, ideas come to you and you're able to achieve flow quicker, and it helps you declutter your mind. Use digital tools as well. I use Notion. We'll get into my tech stack in a future video. Remind me to do that. But I use apps and digital tools to manage and schedule my tasks, whether that's reminders on my iPhone, Google Calendar, my Notion. Use digital tools. A lot of these things are free, by the way. Chat and Notion are free. And set your priorities. That's part of staying organized. Focus on your high priority tasks to ensure that your goals are met. One of my high priority tasks is making sure that I upload a podcast every single day. That's a non-negotiable for me. That's a non-negotiable for me. I have to do it, whether that's waking up early before I go to work or coming back from work and doing it and uploading at 9 p.m., whatever it takes. You got to stay organized. You got to have a routine and you got to stick with it and focus on your high priority tasks. I still have a full-time job on top of all this, and I got to get my shit in, and I got to get my shit done at work as well, and hit all the bells and whistles and make my bosses proud and happy and secure and confident in what I do, on top of everything that I do for my family, at my house, for my dogs, for my kids, for my wife. Maybe not necessarily in that order, but I got to stay on top of things. And number 5, maintain a positive mindset. We talked in a later episode, on a previous episode rather, we talked about the blizzard of dicks. Life rains a blizzard of dicks on you, and you have to stay positive in the moment. Practice positive self-talk. Now, I'm not saying that you have to look in the mirror and say, you're great, you're great, you're great, you're great, and that's just going to fix everything. But it doesn't hurt to be positive in that mirror and tell yourself what you like about yourself, and tell yourself and remind yourself what your goals are, and to stay on task positively. You could use affirmations. I certainly have some. You can use positive self-talk to boost your confidence and your self-esteem. It doesn't hurt. I don't see a lot of men doing that. I'm not saying that's the end-all be-all answer. You're not going to achieve your goals just by talking to yourself in the mirror, but sometimes you have to take a hard look in the mirror, be very honest with yourself, and be positive with yourself as well. Cultivate gratitude. A future episode down the line is going to be grateful 24/7. You have to be grateful. You're not on the Gaza Strip if you're watching this right now. I highly doubt it. You're not in a gang with shots being fired at you if you're lucky. There's a lot to be grateful for. There's a lot to be thankful for. If you're listening to this podcast, you're one of the lucky ones and you know it. So maximize that privilege. When it comes to maintaining a positive mindset, I also like to visualize success. What does success look like? I like to pretend that I already have it and I have that future me. And yes, that future you is you, and it's always been you all along. But I like to imagine me rich. I like to imagine me with a large audience. I like to imagine me public speaking. I like to imagine me traveling with my family. I like to visualize that success, and it's like I'm already there, man. Like I feel like I'm floating and I'm already there. I have anchored some memories where I've already achieved success, and I've anchored those memories where I can just tap back into that and be grateful and be positive and be thankful and just count my lucky stars. I have those moments. I'm fortunate enough to have those moments. But you can't just visualize success. You have to stay flexible. Stay flexible. If something hits you and knocks you off course, you got to be able to rebound fast. You got to be able to be adaptable and open to changing your plans as needed. Sometimes you got to make an audible. That's just part of the process. Focus on progress. This is how you're going to maintain a positive mindset. Reflect on how far you've come rather than how far you have left to go. I believe that I may be one brick wall away from either bulldozing through, jumping forward, or digging down below. I believe that I'm one brick wall away, one video away from my shit popping and making sense on the internet. I really believe that. But I have to reflect on how far I've come. I've uploaded 500 videos in my lifetime, if not more. That's not even counting the videos that I've produced for other people and the channels that I've grown for other people and their businesses. Focus on the progress you've already achieved. Think about the stuff that you wanted. I remember wanting this gear 5, 6, 7 years ago, and now I have it. I get to scratch that off the list and go back to your goals and your planner and say, wow, I actually did that. Remember that. So here are the 5 tips, and then I have a few additional ones. Number 1, break down your goals. 2, build a support system. 3, practice self-care. 4, stay organized. 5, maintain a positive mindset. Now, a few additional tips, and then I'm going to go ahead and send you guys along your way. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Rate this on Spotify. I want 100 ratings by the end of the year on Spotify. I'd really appreciate that. Leave a one-word comment if you have the time, if you've made it this far. If any of these tips resonate with you, leave a one-word comment down below. Give me a thumbs up, give me a heart. It all helps. But here's a few additional tips, and then we'll wrap up here. Manage your expectations. You got to set reasonable, realistic expectations to avoid disappointment and frustration. You can't say, I want to run a marathon tomorrow if you haven't done the work. I want 1 million subscribers by the end of the year. I want to be a millionaire before I'm 30. Manage your expectations. Shit takes way longer than you think it does. And along your journey, seek inspiration. You're always going to need inspiration. So collect inspiration, read books, listen to positive podcasts, or watch videos like this that inspire or motivate you, and log that inspiration, download it, save it, go back to it. If it charges you up, you're going to need it because the blizzard of dicks, like I mentioned before. Learn from your failures, learn from your setbacks, view challenges as opportunities for growth and learning. If there's a challenge, this is an opportunity to show everybody what you're really made of. Don't look at it, don't get discouraged because you're going to have a challenge along the road. That's part of the process. So learn from that. If you fail, that's fine. That you didn't fail, you got data. You learned. Take that along with you and take it to the next part of the process. Connect with like-minded individuals. Connect with me if you feel like we vibe. Connect with other people and stay a part of that community that just sharpens you, that holds you accountable, that, share the same goals that you have, and there's a mutual support and encouragement. Don't take advice from people who are less successful than you, who don't have the life that you want. Why would you take advice from them? So let them go, but connect with like-minded people and reflect regularly. Take time to reflect on your progress, write it down, adjust your plans if necessary. If you decided you wanted to go left, but you went right and you got to do a U-turn and go back on track, do what you got to do, but reflect on it. Don't ruminate. Don't dig yourself in a spiral here. Don't ruminate, but reflect on it carefully. And most importantly, stay committed. It's not going to happen overnight. It doesn't happen from one moment to the next. Yes, there are freak cases where people uploaded their first video or uploaded their first song and it just clicked with everybody, of course that happens, but that's not the norm. Those are freak anomalies that happen. But you, if you're like me, and I think you are, I think you're one of the chosen ones. If you're like me, stay committed. Keep your long-term vision in mind and stay committed to your goals, even when the going gets tough, and it's going to get tough. You can't eat an elephant, swallow it whole. You got to take a bite, one bite at a time. And it's the same thing with your process. It's the same thing with your goals. And that is how you're going to make the process more bearable. I know I threw a lot at you, but like, comment, and subscribe. Favorite this video. Share it with someone that needs to hear it. Come back to this video if you ever need it. I'm here for you. These tips provide practical advice and strategies to help you make the process more bearable, and ultimately achieve your goals. And that's what we're doing here, and that's what I want to do, and that's why I'm here, and I want to help. Reach out to me, DM me, text me if you have my number. You know where to find me. I'm here for you. I'd love to keep this conversation going. I love you guys. Thank you so much for listening. Wasn't this like one of the best podcast episodes ever? I thought it was great. I thought it was very valuable, if I do say so myself. Keep a force field around your heart, and I'll see you guys tomorrow on the next podcast. Peace.